I traveled back to the day when the rich girl confessed her feelings to me. The young girl was wearing a pristine white dress, her brows soft and gentle as she whispered, "I like you." In the next second, I heard her inner voice clear as day. "He really believes it. Disgusting." The cicadas were chirping relentlessly in the camphor tree outside, and the people gathered around us were jeering. Though it was the kind of jeering meant purely to mock me. Someone next to us whistled and laughed aloud. "Evelyn's taste is getting a bit heavy lately, huh?" The girl in the white dress ignored them and just stood in front of me, her expression gentle and affectionate. The sunlight filtered through her shoulders, making her look like a princess, straight out of a fairy tale. Evelyn, stubborn as always, pressed against the handlebars of my bike, standing on her tiptoes and staring straight into my eyes. She said softly, "Lucas, I like you." In her eyes, I saw my own reflection. An awkward, stiff 17-year-old boy, thin and frail in an oversized school uniform. I was frozen in place, my face burning bright red without needing to check a mirror, my hands trembling helplessly. After all, this was Evelyn, the girl I had secretly been in love with for a long time. I was just about to blurt out, "I like you too," when I heard the true inner heart of the pure-looking girl in front of me. "He really believes it. Disgusting." I was stunned for a moment and looked at Evelyn again. She was smiling gently, with no outward sign of the disgust she was feeling inside. She was waiting confidently for my reply. After all, everyone at South City High knew I was Evelyn's ultimate simp. Under everyone's watchful eyes, I suddenly took a step back and said coldly, "Sorry, I don't like you." Evelyn's expression turned ugly in an instant. No one had ever rejected her before. Just then, a silver-haired girl walked by arrogantly, as if she hadn't noticed the drama unfolding here. I recognized her immediately. She was the notorious school bully, the queen of our school, and Evelyn's arch-nemesis. I pointed at the school bully and said to Evelyn, "I like her type. You're too childish, you understand?" I wobbled my bike's handlebars and added, "So, Evelyn, move aside." Evelyn must have been bewildered, completely unable to comprehend how the boy, who had adored her a second ago, could now tell her to get lost. She stiffened, placing her hand firmly on my handlebars, an intense unease showing between her delicate brows. She bit her lip and asked, "What's wrong with you?" She held onto my bike tightly. In my past life, I would have been afraid to pull too hard and accidentally hurt her, leaving me stuck in a dilemma. In the next second, however, the silver-haired girl reached over and grabbed my handlebars, yanking them free from Evelyn's grip with a swift twist of her wrist. "Didn't you hear him? He told you to move." Her voice was crisp, with a distinct hint of coldness. I turned my head slightly. The silver-haired girl had waist-length hair, her side profile delicate, yet exuding an aura that warned people to stay away. Her long silver hair shimmered in the light, cool and rebellious. And then, I heard the school bully's panicked inner voice, "Shit, he's looking at me." The school bully rescued me from Evelyn's awkward confession and pushed my pink bike forward. A small group of boys passing by teased her. "Becca, when did you stop riding your motorcycle?" She kicked one of them hard, cursing, "Get lost." I walked beside her, feeling incredibly awkward, but I mustered up the courage to speak. "Hey, school bully!" "Rebecca," she interrupted, lowering her eyes as she asked softly, "Do you like me?" My first instinct was to shake my head vigorously, but then I heard her eerie inner thoughts. "Anyone who's used me as a shield ended up buried in concrete pillars." Hearing that, I immediately turned my head shake into a firm, enthusiastic nod. Rebecca had a pair of charming, almond-shaped eyes. Right now, she smiled, stopping dead in her tracks and reaching out to pinch my cheek. Her thumb brushed over the mole under my eye, and she slowly said, "From now on, you'll help me with my homework, watch me practice dancing, and give me rides to and from school. Treat me 10 times better than you treated Evelyn. Got it? Even though she was shorter than me, I instinctively shrank back. I was a bit confused and asked, "What do you mean?" She condescendingly patted my face, smiling sweetly. "It means I've accepted your pursuit." Looking at Rebecca, with her silver-dyed hair, ear piercings, and a face that practically screamed high maintenance, I suddenly felt like maybe going back to battle. Evelyn was a safer option. I followed the road back home, guided by my memories. This was the luxury villa district. I was 17 when they brought me back from the countryside. At 17, I didn't understand many things, like why my mother was the legitimate wife. Yet I had an older half-brother, Diego, who was just a few months older than me. Everyone liked Diego, including Evelyn. Evelyn and Diego were childhood sweethearts from the beginning. Even when she first acted kindly toward me in my past life, it was only to convince me to donate a kidney to him. If it weren't for Diego's illness, the Song family would have never thought of bringing me back. To them, I wasn't a person, I was medicine. But right now, in this timeline, their true intentions hadn't been revealed yet. Diego, still recovering at home, was in the garden watering the flowers. When he heard me enter, he looked up and smiled gently. "You're home late. We finished dinner a while ago." It didn't matter. I wasn't allowed to sit at the main dining table anyway. "Evelyn confessed to me today," I said casually. The watering can suddenly dropped from his hand, splashing water onto his pants. He forced a smile. "Really? Congratulations." I raised an eyebrow in fake surprise and said, "Of course I didn't accept. How could she ever be good enough for me?" In an instant, I was overwhelmed by a flood of vicious, hateful thoughts coming straight from the always kind Diego. A walking kidney bag, and he's not even grateful to us. How dare he say that? Evelyn only told me she'd approach Lucas. She never said she'd actually confess to him. This poor kid must be lying. Damn it. Lucas should take a good look at himself, so ugly. And to think we're relying on him to keep me alive. Dream on. I snickered internally and ran upstairs, hearing Diego cough violently behind me. As I reached the top of the stairs, the family maid pulled me aside and whispered, "Madam said there's no dinner left for you." This was a regular occurrence. As I turned away, I paused for a moment, hearing the maid's genuine inner thought. Poor thing. In my previous life before I returned to this day, it was right after Diego's successful recovery. Thanks to my donated kidney. Evelyn had promised that once he was out of the hospital, they'd get engaged. And they did, just not me to her, but her to Diego. She had endured her disgust and revulsion, pretending to be friendly with a country bumpkin like me for so long, and finally got what she wanted. On her engagement day, she leaned into Diego's arms and, in front of all the guests, said to me with the same gentle tone she used when confessing, "Lucas, why don't you take a look in the mirror?" I had looked down and seen my reflection on the polished floor, bloated and overweight from post-surgery medication. A far cry from the handsome and charming Diego. In that moment, I felt my heart shatter into pieces. Luckily, it turned out that horrific outcome was just a memory of the future. I had woken up right at the moment Evelyn confessed to me, now gifted with the ability to hear people's true thoughts. Back in my room, I grabbed my phone from under my pillow and opened the chat app, where there were already 99 plus notifications. Only one chat was pinned at the top. Evelyn. The 17-year-old version of me had genuinely cherished her. Evelyn's messages were still coming in frantically. "Evelyn, Lucas, I'll give you another chance. My confession still stands." "Evelyn, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Congratulations, you succeeded." "Evelyn, stay away from Rebecca. She's bad news." There were also several missed calls. Scrolling up, I saw long strings of texts I used to send her with no response. On the rare occasion Evelyn replied, the old me would be over the moon for half the day. Now, with a swift motion, I blocked her. Then I slowly opened the class group chat. Sure enough, they were discussing the afternoon drama. The school flower and the school queen fighting over a guy. Such a clickbait headline. They had even posted pictures from the scene. I clicked on one, and my face flushed. In the photo, the silver-haired girl was standing in front of me, so close it looked like she was leaning into my chest, staring at Evelyn with a provocative eyebrow raise. The chat continued to scroll. Who's this guy anyway? Looks like a total country bumpkin. Even the heartthrob from Third High didn't manage to win over Becca. We usually can't post Becca's pictures without her permission, but she didn't say anything today. Guess it's real. I exited the chat and saw a new friend request notification. The username was BC, with a note that read, Luca's love interest. My heart skipped a beat, and I accepted it. Lucas, I've accepted your friend request. We can start chatting now. After a brief pause, she sent a voice message. Her tone was playful. Just friends? I tried to pause the voice message, but I fumbled, accidentally hitting the video call button instead. She answered instantly. Suddenly, her beautiful face appeared on the screen. So close that her eyelashes seemed like they could brush against my screen. Unconsciously, I pulled my phone back a bit. A soft laugh came from the speaker, and Rebecca said, Lucas, why is your face so red as soon as we start talking? I couldn't say a word. Then, from somewhere behind her, I heard someone yell, Becca, we want to see your boyfriend too. It's all over the forums. Without turning around, Rebecca chuckled. Get lost. She stretched out her hand to cover the camera like a child hiding a toy, being playfully petty. After a while, she moved her hand away, the corners of her lips curling up. You couldn't wait to video call me after being apart for a bit? What's wrong? Miss me already? Her words were light, almost seductive. Just as I was about to explain, my stomach growled loudly. I was starving. Before she could react, I quickly hit the red button to end the call. Damn, how embarrassing. Damn, she's beautiful. It was already late at night, and the Song family enforced a strict curfew. I couldn't leave, and there was no food saved for me. A grown guy, hungry enough to chew on the bedpost, I could only resign myself to lying on the bed, waiting for the hunger pangs to pass. Outside the window stood a tall camphor tree. If it weren't for this tree blocking the view and sunlight, I wouldn't have been given this south-facing room in the first place. Suddenly, the leaves rustled, and I heard the light tapping of knuckles on the glass. I sat up in shock to see the silver-haired girl clinging to the branches of the camphor tree, with reckless abandon. One hand was tapping on the window, and the other held a full plastic bag, with a pair of disposable chopsticks hanging from her mouth. I quickly got up, incredulous, and opened the window. The cool night wind blew in. Rebecca handed me the bag and pushed her wind-tousled hair behind her ear. My dear classmate Lucas, here is Becca's special delivery takeout. She smiled, her eyes curving into sweet crescents. How about giving me a 5-star review? The next day, Rebecca made it clear that I was officially chasing her. I had to wait for her at school, run errands for her between classes, and even attend her volleyball games to cheer her on. I brought 2 bottles of sports drinks, and slowly made my way to the school gym, only to find it completely packed with students. They were all shouting, Class 1 versus Class 3! Both Rebecca and Evelyn were in those respective classes. I headed toward Rebecca's side, but someone stepped directly in front of me. Evelyn stood there, looking flushed from warm-ups. Her disgusting comment from 2 days ago still pricked at my memory. Her expression softened slightly as she reached for the drinks in my hand. She used to do this all the time. I would run around fetching water and towels for her, and she would occasionally throw me a small smile as a reward. Evelyn said condescendingly, Since you brought me water, I'll forgive you for yesterday. I dodged her hand and said bluntly, Move aside. She froze in place. I walked right past her, taking a few quick steps toward Rebecca, and handed her the drinks. Rebecca squinted, inexplicably in a good mood, and lazily whined, "Oh dear, I can't open the bottle." Resigned, I took the drink back, twisted the cap off easily, and handed it back to her. Rebecca tilted her head back and took a sip, her lips curling into a triumphant smile as she snickered at something behind me. Suddenly, I caught Evelyn's thoughts from a few feet away. "Ugh, I can't stand people who overthink things." I glanced back, and sure enough, Evelyn was still standing there, her face red with anger. When she noticed me looking, she quickly averted her eyes. She was visibly upset, and I was secretly thrilled. Rebecca was in top form during the match. Unstoppable, a total sports goddess. The gym was filled with waves of cheers every time she scored. Evelyn, on the other hand, seemed unusually distracted, frequently glancing toward the audience where I was sitting. She played terribly and was practically crushed. Rebecca's team won without any suspense. After the game, Rebecca walked over to me, her silver hair tied up in a rare high ponytail, looking radiant and full of energy. I handed her a towel, and she beckoned me closer with a finger. I obediently leaned in. Rebecca draped her arm casually over my shoulder, playfully pouting. "You watched my entire game and you've got nothing to say to me?" I blinked. While the guys nearby had been screaming, "Becca is so cool!" For the last hour, I looked up at her and awkwardly said, "Becca is cool." In the next second, something covered my head. It was Rebecca's school jacket, which she had tossed over my face. The fresh scent of her soap filled my lungs. I heard one of her teammates rush over. "Becca, why are your ears and face so red? Are you feeling sick?" Rebecca, visibly embarrassed, snapped, "Stop talking!" Life without Evelyn at the center of my attention was so much easier. My earliest memory of Rebecca was actually from months ago, when I had walked out of a convenience store and stumbled upon her, fighting a group of delinquents from another school. I had crouched against a wall, terrified of getting caught in the fight. When it was finally quiet, I dared to look up. Rebecca was the only one left standing, leaning against the wall with a smirk. Even though I was over 6 feet tall, I had been utterly terrified of her. Back then, Rebecca had asked me, "Got a Band-Aid?" I had nervously handed her one. She held out her hand, showing a small scrape, wanting me to put it on for her. She had asked, "You're from a high? What's your name?" Afraid she might target me later, I had mumbled, "I'm just the guy who's always liked Evelyn." At the time, her expression had gone completely cold. She pulled her hand back, scoffed, "Boring," and walked away. Back in the present, Evelyn unexpectedly showed up at the Song residence after school. I went downstairs to grab some study materials and ran into Diego, who was happily walking out of the music room with Evelyn. "Evelyn, it's been so long since you visited me," Diego was saying with a sweet, needy voice. Evelyn stood silently for a moment before asking, "How's your recovery going?" Diego rambled on. "I've been such a burden to my parents, but I'm okay now. I'll ask the maid to cut some fruit for you." "No need," Evelyn cut him off coldly. She looked up toward the stairs and made direct eye contact with me. "I'm here to see Lucas." Diego froze as if he hadn't heard her right. "Evelyn, who are you here to see?" Evelyn ignored him and kept her eyes firmly on me. "Lucas, come down and talk." Under her gaze, I slowly walked down the stairs, grabbing my math study guide from the console table. I sighed. "It's not that I'm ignoring you, Evelyn, but I'm currently on a video call with Rebecca going over math problems. If I keep her waiting, she'll get mad." Diego's face turned deathly pale. Evelyn's expression darkened completely. That night, Diego threw a massive temper tantrum, demanding to return to school immediately. Being the family's darling, and with his health stabilized, the parents agreed. Before he returned, Diego's mother spoke to me at length. A conversation that was half arrogant advice, half threat. I was to act as Diego's obedient servant and study companion at school. Lucas, don't forget that the reason you're able to attend such a prestigious school is because of the resources my family provided, she reminded me coldly. My biological father added, don't call Diego your brother at school. It's hard to explain why two brothers are only a few months apart in age. When Diego actually returned to school, it stirred up quite a commotion. He and Evelyn were in the same class and appeared everywhere together, causing the rumors about me and Evelyn to quickly die down. Backing by his status, Diego ordered me around freely. On a scorching summer afternoon, he forced me to run across campus to buy ice cream for him and his friends. By the time I returned, drenched in sweat, his gang was sitting around my desk with their feet up. Look at Lucas, total country bumpkin. One laughed. First clinging to Evelyn, now trying to hang around Rebecca. Diego, what is Lucas to you anyway? I've never seen a dog so obedient. They burst into laughter. Someone added, hey, Lucas has the same last name as you. Diego smiled smoothly. Lucas is just the son of our family driver. My dad pulled some strings to get him into this school. I slammed the melted ice cream onto the table. Diego flicked the wrapper. Lucas, it's all melted. Go get us fresh ones. I clenched my fists, ready to flip the table, when a sweet yet stern voice rang out from the doorway. Diego, that's enough. It was Evelyn. Diego's smile faltered. Evelyn, you know he's just. He swallowed his words when he saw the look on her face. I heard Diego's frustrated inner thoughts. Evelyn and I grew up together. Why is she taking his side now? I looked at Evelyn and said calmly, what's so over the top about this, Evelyn? You've done worse to me before. Remember when you made me walk 3 miles in a torrential thunderstorm just to buy you a specific coffee? And when I brought it back soaking wet, you just said it was too cold and threw it in the trash? Evelyn winced, clearly remembering. The classroom fell dead silent. Suddenly, an arm hooked around my neck from behind, pulling me back against a soft body. Rebecca was standing behind me, smiling radiantly, but her eyes were lethal as she scanned Diego and his friends. Making my guy run errands for you? Are you even worthy? Rebecca casually instructed her crew to take Diego and his friends out to the track for a run. None of the boys dared to argue with the school queen. They obediently went out under the blazing sun, forced to run laps and drink the melted ice cream. Even the principal came sweating to the track, but didn't dare stop Rebecca. I stood next to Rebecca and whispered, "Don't do this next time. It doesn't look good for you." Rebecca rested her chin in her hand and leaned close to my ear. Did it feel good seeing Diego get what he deserved? I hesitated, then nodded. It did. She smirked like a cat that had caught a mouse. Then it was completely worth it. After Rebecca stepped in, Diego didn't dare boss me around anymore. Just hearing her name was enough to shut him up. A week later, the monthly exam results were posted on the massive bulletin board. Diego and his group gathered near the top. Diego, you're ranked 29th in the entire grade. That's amazing. First place, as expected, goes to Evelyn. They turned around and saw me looking at the board, snickering. Diego sneered. Some people should at least know their place and look from the bottom of the list. Suddenly, one of his friends tugged his sleeve, pale-faced. Diego, his rank is ahead of yours. Diego froze. Someone read it out loud. Lucas 20th place, I smiled. During my bedridden days in my past life, I had spent all my time studying high school textbooks. I kept scanning down and found Rebecca's name. She had jumped from the very bottom all the way to 300th place. My tutoring had actually worked. I saw Rebecca walking down the hallway with her friends and called out, Becca, you ranked 300th. Her friends started teasing her. Ooh, Becca, the guy you like is cheering for you. Rebecca's face turned bright red, and I caught her annoyed yet flustered inner thought. Damn it, he's way too good at flirting. Many guys admired Rebecca from afar, but few dared approach her due to her fierce reputation. However, a famous guy named David, a heartthrob actor from Third High, came to our school gate the next morning. David intercepted me while I was waiting for Rebecca. "You must be Lucas," he said condescendingly. "You can't win against me, so stay away from Becca. She's just playing with you out of pity." Before I could reply, Rebecca walked up, shoved a warm cup of soy milk and a fresh, steam bun into my hands, stuffed a handful of candies into my coat pocket, and zipped up my backpack for me. David was dumbfounded. "Becca, you never let anyone get this close to you. How can you do these things for him?" Rebecca didn't even glance at David. She took a sip of her own milk carton and rolled her eyes. "Who are you again?" David was left completely devastated by her 2 words. As Rebecca and I walked into campus, she proudly said, "I don't even know that guy. The rumors about me fighting over him in the past were total lies. The only person I've ever stood up for is you." I was taken aback. She added lazily, "I'm not like some people who liked someone else before coming to their senses. Luckily, you realized your mistake in time. Right, Lucas?" By noon, an anonymous post went viral on the school forum, exposing Lucas, the illegitimate child of the Song family who is two-timing 2 girls. The post twisted the truth, painting Diego as an innocent victim who fell ill because of my mother's scheming, and portrayed me as a shameless gold digger playing both Evelyn and Rebecca. The comments were brutal. I went to the bathroom to wash my face, furious. Someone handed me a paper towel. It was Evelyn. "I've already asked someone to suppress the forum post." "Don't worry," Evelyn said softly. "Once this blows over, let me help you. Just come back to me, Lucas." I looked at her reflection in the mirror and said coldly, "Evelyn, I am not an illegitimate child. When I first arrived at the Song family villa years ago, I got lost and was cornered by a vicious stray dog. My mother had died of rabies, so I was deathly afraid of dogs. That day, as I lay crying in the rain, someone whistled, driving the dog away, and a girl with an umbrella appeared. Evelyn. I had always believed Evelyn was the one who saved me that day, which was why I had been so devoted to her. Now I realized that Evelyn had always looked down on me, believing Diego's lies that I was a bastard child. Loving her in my past life was truly worse than loving a dog. I walked straight to Diego's classroom. He was surrounded by classmates, looking weak and pitiful. When he saw me, Diego yelled, "Lucas! Can't you just leave my family alone?" I walked up to his desk and slammed my hand down. "That forum post is a pack of lies. I am the legitimate son. The real illegitimate child born from an affair is someone else." Diego panicked. "What proof do you have?" "I don't need to prove my innocence," I said loudly so the whole class could hear. "I'm filing a police report for criminal defamation today. The police will track the IP address." Diego's face went white. Just then, a student shouted, "Holy crap! The forum's anonymous posting system just malfunctioned. The poster's real username is visible now." Everyone pulled out their phones. The author of the post was clearly displayed. Class 1, Diego Song. The entire room turned to stare at Diego in utter disgust. Unable to handle the embarrassment and exposure, Diego collapsed and fainted on the spot. In the hospital's VIP ward, Diego's father berated me angrily. "Is this how you repay us? Making your brother faint into a hospital bed? You're transferring schools immediately." I looked him dead in the eye. "No." "What did you say?" he barked. The ward door swung open, and Rebecca walked in with her family's legal team standing right behind her. With Rebecca standing firmly beside me, I looked at my father and Diego's mother. "I am not transferring. And I am never donating another organ to Diego. His mother was the mistress who broke up my parents' marriage. Diego is the true illegitimate child here." Diego, who had just woken up, clutched his blanket in absolute terror as his entire world shattered. I left the hospital ward, leaving the chaotic Song family behind. I sat on a bench in the hallway, taking a deep breath. Rebecca squatted down in front of me. I looked into her eyes and asked, Becca, why are you always so good to me? Rebecca smiled softly. Do you really not remember? The day you got chased by the dog in the Villa District years ago. I was the one sitting on the wall who whistled and called the dog off. I froze. I went to get an umbrella, but by the time I came back, Evelyn was already standing there with you. Rebecca continued softly. I watched you chase after her for years, getting hurt over and over. If I had known back then, I would have never let her take the credit. At that moment, Evelyn walked up the hallway, tears streaming down her face. Lucas, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Diego lied to me for years. I stood up, looked at Evelyn, and gave her a gentle, familiar smile. Her eyes lit up with hope, until I used the exact words she had once thought about me. I like you? Did you really believe that? Disgusting. Evelyn staggered backward, her heart completely shattered as she finally realized what she had permanently lost. With Rebecca's help, the police report went through. Diego was forced to issue a formal public apology, and the Song family paid a massive financial settlement to avoid further legal action, giving me total financial independence. Shortly after, the Song family's business suffered major losses due to intervention from Rebecca's family. Sitting in my new apartment, I texted Rebecca, Lucas? I knew justice would prevail. Rebecca, and what about me? Lucas? Becca will always lead me to justice. A moment later, she sent a voice message, her sweet voice teasing. Lucas, what should I do? It feels like you're about to catch up to me. The next evening, as the sun set over the city, I met Rebecca near the park by the school. She was wearing a gorgeous black dress, holding a strawberry ice cream cone. As I walked up to her, she suddenly gasped and leaned against me, clutching her chest. Are you hurt? I asked anxiously. She took my hand and guided my palm directly over her heart, where I could feel her chest rising and her heart beating rapidly. There wasn't a trace of pain on her face, only a mischievous, playful smirk. It hurts right here, she murmured. I sighed helplessly. Rebecca pouted playfully. Dear Lucas, as your pursuer, I'm feeling a little insecure with all these people around. So, I've decided to upgrade my title. Can you guess to what? To what? Rebecca stomped her foot softly, her face blushing red. To your girlfriend! I couldn't hear any more inner thoughts. Just the sound of our two hearts beating in perfect unison. Turns out, the school queen wasn't that hard to catch after all.